And welcome back to Real Talk Sports with Rico. Today, we're talking about the top headlines and stories around the NBA. And so, let me start with just really the injuries. I think that there have been a lot of teams that have been hit with some injury concerns. When you look at the Memphis Grizzlies, they're without John Morant. He's been out for quite some time. Then also, too, just some other injuries to note. Chet Holmgren of OKC, he's been out with a hip fracture. You have Zion Williams, who's listed as day to day. On a positive note, you do have Porzingis for the Boston Celtics. It looks like he's slated to come back by at least December. So that's good for the Boston Celtics that they have a timeline. But I think injuries have been a key concern for a lot of teams to start off. And I think that that is something that, it could hurt your team down the line, especially if you get off to these slow starts. Yes, the NBA season, it is long and you do have some time to kind of catch up, hopefully get yourself back into a favorable seed for the playoffs, but it does hurt you early, especially with the chemistry concerns. And so looking at the Eastern Conference and speaking of chemistry and things like that, the Cleveland Cavaliers have it rolling right now. They're 14-0. And one of the debates on ESPN was could the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Boston Celtics? And so I'm not ready to say that they're going to beat the Boston Celtics and get out of the Eastern Conference. I simply don't believe enough in Donovan Mitchell as far as, just staying healthy and being able to lead this team out of the Eastern Conference, because that's going to be tough because the Boston Celtics are deep, talking about how they're going to get Porzingis back, who was a real difference maker for them last year. And so hopefully he's able to stay healthy. But, it's going to be a tall task for them because they haven't really done a whole bunch to this roster. I do like the fact that they are deep, but they are like an injury away, I think, from this really changing. Hopefully they're able to stay healthy. And I'm not sure that they're going to continue to have Evan Mobley with this high usage rate that they have right now and have the offense kind of running through some of the things that he's doing. I think when it gets down into a 7-game series, I think that they're going to be able to lock in a little bit more on these Cavs. And that's going to be tough for the Cavaliers. But right now, they're doing a great job leading the Eastern Conference. With the Boston Celtics, they've dealt with some various injuries. Right now, they're 11-3, almost lost to the Toronto Raptors last night in overtime, but they were able to overcome that. Jason Tatum able to come back and help this team win in overtime. But Boston is not a team that I'm too worried about. I think that for them, it is just still about staying healthy, much like the Cleveland Cavaliers, and just getting to the playoffs. And so with the Orlando Magic, look, I'm impressed with what they have done. Being 8-6, being third right now, because they don't have their main player right now in Ben Carroll, and they're still out there doing well. And so at 8-6, I think that this is pretty good. I know that they're 5-5 out of the last 10, but for them to just stay the pace, stay course, and stay focused until they get their main player back, I think that that bodes well for the Orlando Magic, especially for their chemistry. And this is a young team that's trying to take that step. Remember, they had taken the Cleveland Cavaliers to 7 games last year in round one. So they were just a game away from advancing. Next up, the Knicks. So the Knicks have they're starting to show signs. I think they're starting to look good. Had a big game from Karl Anthony Towns against the Chicago Bulls. He had 46 points and 10 rebounds. And, I think that he's starting to get comfortable. I think that New York is going to get healthy. And it's just, can they stay healthy at the right times? Because I do like the way that Coach Tibbs aggressively coaches this team, but this team has got to stay healthy. It's all about the health, and I think that they are starting to get it together. I think that this is a team that is going to surge, but they're right where they need to be. They need to be in the top of the Eastern Conference. The Atlanta Hawks, they've been a bit of a surprise. I think that Jalen Johnson has done very well. I like what they are getting as far as a production standpoint from Trae Young as well. And, I like what they are getting from Zachary Rizige. I think that he is doing very well for a rookie. He's playing, and this is what you need. You needed your number one pick to come in and be effective. And so they're doing pretty well. 4-6, they're fifth in the Eastern Conference. I know that you do not get too caught up in what a team is doing right now. But look, I like where they're trending at this point. Do I think that they're going to outright qualify for the playoffs? Not sure about that. I think that they're more of a play-in team, if you ask me. Next up, the Detroit Pistons. I want to talk about them. So the Pistons, They've been in a lot of close games. Currently, they're seventh. They're 6-4 over their last 10. And I just like their ability right now to just put themselves in position to win games. And I think that they're getting a little bit closer. Look, they're a younger team that has been together. They're starting to now try to figure out this stuff when they get into these tight games. And so maybe the Detroit Pistons are ready to turn the corner here because right now they're seventh in the Eastern Conference. And I know they're seventh, but they're looking pretty good in these tight situations. And they have a lot of young pieces that are exciting over there. Charlotte Hornets, I think it was all about getting Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball back on the court together. I think that that is just really the key for them. The Indiana Pacers are a team that has got to get a lot better. Expect for them to surge right now. They're 4-6 out of their last 10. They just got to consistently put together some good basketball. They're dealing with some injuries. Brooklyn Nets, they're a lot better than what most would think at this point. A lot of people thought that this might be the worst team in the Eastern Conference, but I think with just the things that they put together with Cam Johnson, they have Ben Simmons back. I think Cam Thomas has played very well. He's an outright scorer, and so I think he's coming out into his own. And so, look, the Brooklyn Nets just need to get a direction, and I think that they'll be just fine. But playing some good basketball right now, even though they're 10th. And so Chicago, right now for them, I think that they have a lot of questions just with their franchise and just where they're going. I think that it's all about the direction. They're trying to figure out what they want to do and how they want to build out their team. It's a lot going on over there. Josh Giddey hasn't been closing games over the last 4 games that they've had. And, they traded for him thinking he was going to be the cornerstone of the franchise. And so this Chicago Bulls team, they have a lot of different things going on. And I think it's just a lot of roster construction and just management trying to figure out the direction to go. That's really the best, that I can kind of package the Chicago Bulls up in right now. That's where they're at. The Milwaukee Bucks, look, this is pretty inexcusable. I mean, to be this bad, they're losing games down the stretch. And I think that the Milwaukee Bucks have to make a lot of changes. And, just the Doc Rivers addition that hasn't been the answer for this team. And they're just playing bad, period. Like they're playing bad. And I'm concerned with the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't think that they get any better. The Sixers, they look a mess as well. Okay. Because yes, they did get Embiid back and they have Paul George, but it's this ridiculousness around this team and just the whole notion that none of these players can play back to backs. And, I think from a chemistry standpoint, I'm not sure the Sixers are going to get there. And I think that this team is going to just struggle. I think they're going to struggle for the year. And by the time they get all their pieces back, I don't know if it's going to be good enough. Embiid has got to get into some more basketball shape. He's got to actually play some basketball. And I don't know how this is going to work out for the Sixers right now. It doesn't look very good. Look, the Wizards, the Toronto, they're going to be a struggling team. They're a young team. Toronto doesn't have Scotty Barnes. The Washington Wizards, they're sometimes starting 2 rookies out there. And so we knew that this was going to be a process for them. For the Western Conference, OKC. So I like the fact that OKC has just kind of withstood some of the injuries that they have had with Chet Holmgren. That's been good. The Golden State Warriors been a quiet surprise. And I like how they've been doing it because they have a deep rotation and they didn't go out and make a huge trade. I think that the Buddy Hield addition has really worked out for the Golden State Warriors, and it's been resurgent. And I think that they've been pacing Steph Curry along with the minutes. So I think that that bodes well. And they're starting to look like the team that has dominated with that dynasty, the small ball lineups, and just defensively, they've done a great job. It seems like Draymond Green has got a resurgence as well. Golden State Warriors could be dangerous, especially if they make another trade to improve their roster in a win now situation. So I think that they have a good outlook. The Houston Rockets, one of the better younger teams, I think, in all the NBA. I've loved the way that they are building their team. And right now, currently, look, they are second in the all of the NBA as far as 18.5 points off of offensive rebounds. So they know what to do with it once they get the offensive rebounds. Right now, they're the third best defensive team as far as the rating is concerned. And so they're a very good defensive team. They have a lot of length out there. They have a lot of perimeter defenders, and they have a coach that came over from Boston that has, just deep playoff experience. So this team is a scary, scary team, the Houston Rockets. And so next up, the Lakers. The Lakers, and it just is the resurgence of LeBron James. It's LeBron James, Anthony Davis has been healthy out there, and JJ Redick. A rookie head coach, no problem. JJ Redick is making it happen out there, and so I like what they are doing and getting Dalton Connect out there. And quietly, Dalton Connect might be maybe one of the better rookies out of this class, and I'm seeing that he can definitely defend. That was a question mark for him, and we knew he was a bucket getter. But man, he looks like he fits in perfectly for what the Los Angeles Lakers want to do, and that is the youth movement that they needed. And so I don't know if the Lakers are still going to be interested in making a trade, for a Zach LaVine or a Vooch or whoever. But the Lakers, they're looking pretty good right now. Can they be there at the end? Obviously, we have a long way to go. Phoenix Suns dealing with some injuries. They were dealing with Kevin Durant and this calf injury, but they've been holding it down for the most part. And I think that for them, they've had some good, solid role play. And I think that now that they've taken Bradley Beal off of the point guard duties and given that over to Tyrus Jones, I think that this team operates a little bit more smoothly. And I like the addition of Coach Bud. I think that his championship experience as a head coach certainly helps the Phoenix Suns. And they seem to be in a lot better situation. The key for them is going to be health. Okay. So the Denver Nuggets, the biggest question for them is still the bench. Right now, you have the Joker who has been out due to some personal stuff there. So he's been out there. And the Denver Nuggets, they're going to be there. I think that more or less they need to get a trade to help their bench. I think that they need something other than what is going on with Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. And so until they address that, I think that Denver is going to be like middle of the pack, like around this 5th, 6th seed. But they've got to get better as far as their bench is concerned. Sacramento Kings, still trying to find their way, okay, with De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan. And I've seen DeMar DeRozan play for them, and he's definitely going to give them the closing element that they want. But they're still trying to figure out just how this thing can go together because De'Aaron Fox, you can't have him scoring 60 points in a game and you still find a way to lose that game. You got to find a way to win these games. And so, look, they've got to get it together as far as chemistry is concerned. But the Sacramento Kings, I think, long-term are going to be fine, just like the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies, once they get healthy, they get Ja Morant back. This is a totally, totally different team. With the Minnesota Timberwolves, right now, they're probably the more disappointing team along with the Dallas Mavericks. Like, I don't think that they should be 9-10 right now. So I know that, yes, there's some injury concerns around the Dallas Mavericks right now with Luka. And then, with the Timberwolves, they just didn't come out with that same type of aggressiveness that we've seen over the last couple seasons. And I think that they've really struggled from this trade. And so I don't know. I'd have to look at the ratings and see where they are as far as their defense is concerned, but it just doesn't seem like the same team. And I think that the Timberwolves have got to figure something out here. The Clippers, we knew the Clippers were going to be in a tough situation. Still, no timeline for Kawhi Leonard. You don't have Paul George. You didn't get anything over there. It's basically just James Harden on a night-to-night basis, and they're just trying to figure it out. And so, look, it's going to be tough for this team. They don't have a lot of youth out there. They're relying on Kawhi Leonard. You don't know what you're going to get back from Kawhi Leonard if he comes back at this point in time, and nobody knows what's really going on there. And so this is tough for the Clippers. And I had said this, and there's a lot of pressure on this franchise because they just opened up this new arena. So 6-7 at 11th is tough. With the Spurs, the Trailblazers, look, those are two teams that they're clearly invested into the youth movement. And it's all about Wemby for the Spurs, and for the Trailblazers, it's all about these younger pieces. I love the fact that they're finally playing Donovan Clegan out there. He's actually looked pretty good. I'm starting to see some flashes of what I saw in college from him, but him getting comfortable and stepping out and shooting three-point shots, like that's going to add a different dimension here, but still a crowded front court for him. And I think at some point, They're going to have to move on from DeAndre Ayton or Robert Williams. Somebody's got to go in order for this young man to get some more playing time. Next up for the Pelicans and the Jazz. And so the Pelicans, I believe it's just injuries for them. I think that it's just injuries, but on top of the injuries that they have, that it's becoming like a bit more consistent with Zion Williamson. Now, that's a question mark for this franchise moving forward. But they also have the question mark of what are they going to do with Brandon Ingram? Because Brandon Ingram is entering the final year of his deal. And I don't believe he was very happy with the organization. And he's playing pretty well. And so, what direction do the Pelicans go? Because I've been thinking about this, but I think that the Lakers, it's surprised. I think that they won that deal. The deal that netted the Pelicans getting all these young pieces and they got Zion Williams and stuff like that. Like, I think it's paying off a lot more for the Lakers, to be honest with you, even though they gave up so much to get Anthony Davis because they've already got a championship. They're playing pretty good right now. And I think that they've taken a step forward with what they have with Dalton Connect and these other players, Austin Reeves. And so when I'm looking at these players now for the Pelicans, they haven't really moved very much. They were supposed to be a team that was going to make some noise, and I get the injuries and stuff like that. But at some point, you have to wonder what's going on with the direction of this franchise. And the Jazz, young team that they really seriously have to get a direction. But if anybody is going to figure it out, it's Danny Ainge. He's done it in Boston. I'm pretty sure he's going to do it in Utah. Not too worried about them. This is a young team that just needs to figure it out. And I think that they're in an evaluation period. And they do have some young players that are playing. In fact, I think they have 2 rookies that are starting. You know what I mean? So that's something that I think a lot of fans would like to see, is that they actually see their rookies start and really learn out there playing some minutes. And that's exactly what the Utah Jazz are doing. They're playing 2 rookies. And so anyway, that is really the wrap here around the NBA. So let me know in the comments what you were thinking. We'll be talking a little bit more about the NFL on this next show. So I'll see you guys on the next one. You can catch us on YouTube. You can also catch us on Spotify. This is Rico, Real Talk Sports. Peace.